a very good afternoon to my guest in the studio, who is no stranger to Salford City Radio, none other than Lewis. Good afternoon, Lewis.
Hello, Ian. Good afternoon to you too.
Lewis Charlesworth from the Kinky Boot Institute. Now, that's the name of the theatre production company, isn't it?
Yes, it is, yes. And this is my third time on your show. We have a long association with each other now, don't we?
We do, yeah.
We go back
how
many years have we done this for now? 4 years.
It
4
must
years
be, yes. Yeah. Now, last time you were in with the Book of Northern, weren't you?
I was indeed, yes. And that was my last Greater Manchester Fringe Festival show. Very different beast to this year. Very different beast.
Now, would you like to tell us all about it? It's called Cheaters, isn't it?
Yeah, well, its full title actually is Cheaters, a play about infidelity. So, you know, it does what it says on the tin, really. It's a farce comedy about monogamy, relationships, infidelity, betrayal, all those things that we don't really talk about so openly, yet nearly everybody on planet Earth experiences them at some point. And I just thought it would be a really compelling and interesting subject matter for the format of farce. And you don't really see much, you don't see farce anymore, really.
No.
So I just thought, you know, let's you know, it's the most kind of hysterical and dynamic form of narrative comedy, I think. So I just thought something as crazy as a kind of raunchy sex infidelity farce would really lend itself to that type of story, really.
Yeah, I thought it was time to bring that sort of stuff back.
Yeah, I mean, the timing actually is unusual. I mean, last time I was here, it was with my now wife, Rosie. We got married last year, and I actually wrote this play about 2 months after I got married. I do not know why. It's probably the last time I should be thinking about these things. Yeah. But I can't, if I get an idea and I think it's pretty juicy and I have to write it, there's no timing.
Yeah.
I don't control this. It just happened to be something I wanted to write. I don't think it was really inspired by my own personal feelings on relationships. It was more observing those around me and close friends of mine who were having interesting marital things,
dilemmas.
Just private little crises. And I just thought, actually, if you put that in the heart of a really silly play, this could be the driving force behind it, really.
Yeah.
Because infidelity and the cuckolded husband or whatever, that's always one aspect of the farce if you look back hundreds of years or whatever. But I thought, well, why don't you make that front and centre and make a play where everybody's cheating on everybody, and this is kind of gradually revealed throughout the play, and just it adds more energy and raises the stakes as it gets on and becomes more kind of hysterical in the way that farces are supposed to. And just with that as a starting point, it just kind of really evolved quite naturally, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it sort of reminds me of Brian Ricks a bit. Remember the Brian Ricks?
That's not a frame of reference I'm very familiar with, but one of my dad's friends came and watched the show, and after he saw it, he said, that's like a Brian Ricks play.
Yeah.
And I don't know anything about it. My dad told me that was a backhanded compliment.
It
depends on who it is.
Actually,
it depends who you are, isn't it?
Yes, of course. So yeah. But it's echoing the classic farces by the likes of Noel Coward.
Yeah. I tend to tell people Fawlty Towers, because that tends to be the biggest frame of reference for people when you talk about farces. I'm not trying to claim that I'm writing something that's on a par with John Cleese, but you're just trying to find something that people recognise. So I always end up coming back to Fawlty Towers. But yeah, Noel Coward would probably be more accurate. I think in some ways I was probably inspired by the play Private Lives, which I think is his most well-known one, which is kind of a similar-ish story, or at least the setup. Two couples, and both of them are kind of been guilty of committing adultery, and they end up switching partners. It's kind of that kind of thing on a basic level. It's similarities,
because it says non-bachelors, Kevin and Dave. So that's it starts. So we're only reading stuff that's in the public domain here, because we don't want anybody to say spoil the plot too much.
Well, exactly. Yeah, I mean, everyone's a bit obsessed with plot spoilers nowadays, and this is the kind of play where you can plot spoil quite easily, which is a little bit frustrating from a marketing perspective, because I'm not really giving much away. But hopefully that's enough to kind of tease people into go and watch it. Yeah, so the setup is you've got two guys who are married to two women who aren't in the play, and they've gone on a night out, and we start at the beginning is the end of the night, where they've brought two women back to one of the men's houses, and these 2 women they brought back are also married to other people who aren't in the play, and everybody's kind of agreed that this is where it's going to happen, where they're all about to commit adultery, everyone's on board, but then about 10 minutes in, bang, something happens, and it throws a real spanner in the works. And then more spanners and more spanners. It's just basically a big garage full of tools.
Toolbox with lots of spanners in.
Toolbox of lust.
Yeah, and it's, well, going back to the Book of Northern, that was really interesting, wasn't it? We just want to recap about that, because it was, you wrote the whole history, didn't you?
I attempted to. So the aim of that was it was basically a glorified sketch show held together by the theme of the history of the Northwest, told in under 1 hour from year dot to the present day. And we might have skipped over a couple of centuries here and there, but
the most important one.
But I think I had a good bash at it. And it went down very well, actually. We had some really nice reviews, and it sold out. And I was really happy with it, because that was my first kind of proper show after kind of backing away from stand-up a little bit. So I was very, very happy with it. And I wouldn't have written Cheaters if I hadn't done the Book of Northern. That was the kind of natural progression from stand-up sketch, theme sketch, and now this is my first proper narrative play. Yeah.
Now we need to tell everybody when it's on, don't we? Where you can go and see it. Yeah.
It's on the 1st, the 8th, and the 22nd of July, 7:30. So if you forget that, Sundays in July.
Yes.
Sundays in July. King's Arms. Loads of people know that. King's Arms Theatre in Salford. It's in the big theatre upstairs, and we are just trying to sell tickets. And it's really fun. Great night out.
Yeah. Now, £7 the ticket.
£7 a ticket, which I think is probably slightly under average price, or is average, so it's fairly well priced as well. Definitely.
And it's a nice theatre, because it's like a bit like a wraparound theatre, isn't it? You feel as though you're part of the play.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, with the show debuted at the Bury Met Theatre, which is similar-ish in capacity, but feels bigger. But so what the King's Arms has got that's really nice is, even though the capacity is decent, it has got that feeling, like you say, where everyone feels like it feels quite intimate. Everyone feels like they're in amongst it. We did a tech run the other day, and it felt really. I felt like with the audience in that particular room would possibly pick up on really, really tiny details, because it does feel quite close-knit, the space.
Now, have you got a website, Lewis, that people can go and see?
I've got a website. That will be kinkybootinstitute.com. Yeah, and a Facebook page and Twitter, all that stuff, all that shazam.
Great. Lewis, thank you very much. We've got to fit quite a few people in tonight, so we're having to sort of scale down our interviews
Conveyor
a bit.
Belt of art.
So, but it's really good to see you again, and look forward to more of your stuff as well. And good luck with with Cheaters, play About Infidelity at the Greater Manchester Fringe on the 1st, 8th and the
22nd
of July. Brilliant.